And is the word Easter mentioned anywhere in the Bible?
Well, Easter is, as you said in your introduction, Easter has its origin in paganism. It is actually the name of a goddess. It's a sign. The whole entire concept of Easter came out of idolatry, came out of a paganism. So as we look at the word Easter, is it in Bible? I wouldn't say Easter in itself, but the practice of idolatry that the name derived from is in Scripture.
I see. And Easter, in terms of its pagan roots or origin, what exactly were they celebrating, if anything? What were they focused or concentrating on then?
It is a similar practice to our tradition. Easter for us represents the suffering of Christ. What the pagans look at were from an agricultural perspective, they looked at it like a new beginning in an agricultural sense, where the resurrection represents new life, represents a new beginning, new crops. So they celebrated in that way as it relates to fertility.
Very interesting.
For us, though, as you know, we look at the season of Lent, we look at the suffering of the Lord, the cost for our salvation. We look at the burial, we look at the resurrection. And so the Christians don't celebrate the name Easter or the newness of a plant growing or agricultural produce. We look at our whole entire celebration of the season is called Lent, the Lenten season. We have names like the Resurrection Sunday, Holy Thursday, stuff like that. And I want to go back a little to agree with what you said earlier, that all our days are paganized. They're named after gods, our months the same, and even our seasons. Now, I want to put that out there first, that the terms that we are used to, the majority, if not all, has their origin in paganism.
You have said quite a bit there, Minister, bringing in Mr. Diamond. Mr. Diamond, didn't Yeshua institute the Passover? It seems that many persons have embraced the tradition of celebrating Easter and not the Passover. And in answering that question, feel free to comment on anything that the minister just said. Sir?
Oh, yes. It is a very interesting thing, no doubt, and especially since we're approaching that time, that it is a very, a very pivotal question. The challenge that I'm seeing and that you brought forth is that it's almost as if we know certain things are not as they're supposed to be, but we simply accept them as the norm because they don't.
Very interesting point you made there, Mr. Diamond.
Right.
But before you make the next point, I'm going to ask if you could help us by perhaps, if you have a slide, well, if you could speak a little bit more directly into your device, if you need to, that might assist because you sound slightly muffled a little bit. If you could speak a little bit more directly into your device, sir, please. And continue now, please.
Yes, man. Are you hearing me better, hopefully?
I think so, yes. It sounds a little clearer. Please proceed.
A little clearer? Okay, good. Right, so basically what happened is that it's almost as if, we know that something may not be 100% legitimate, but we have accepted as a norm because of what we have been basically socialized into or accustomed to as we go along. And not to divert too much from the discussion, it is something as simple as even the address. And today some people still write Jamaica, West Indies. And we know now that that address is incorrect, but we continue to do it because it doesn't seem to cause any harm. That yes, Christopher Columbus got lost, and yet still we continue to use this misappropriate address. Similarly, same thing for the days of the week and for the months of the year, etc. With the introduction of Easter, which basically is a seasonal festival that speaks about the beginning of spring, the rebirth, as we are mentioning, that comes after winter, is a celebration that, yes, it has its beginnings in pagan origins, but yet still we continue to use that, even though it diverts, or basically it has changed so much over the years, and it may not have its original practices like the pagans have, and it has been incorporated by others, for whatever reasons that it seems more accustomed or comfortable. Yet we know that is wrong. We know that it has absolutely no basis, especially for us. For us, there's no basis for Easter to be celebrated as it is, even today.
I'm going to ask both of you gentlemen to just hold your thoughts one moment. We're upon the 7:15 a.m. break. We'll be right back on the morning watch.
Return to Love 101 FM, the family station. It's now 7:15.
As more and more people stay in, you need to bring your business to your customers. And Sagicor Bank makes that easier with Swipe. Equip your delivery staff with the Sagicor Bank Swipe Terminal and accept debit and credit card payments almost anywhere. Apply online for Swipe today at sagicor.com. Sagicor Bank, helping you change the way you do business with Swipe, supporting growth, supporting Jamaica.
The top 10 schools are in! BIP is almost ready to give away $1 million to one lucky school, but we still need your help. Download the BIP app and subscribe to the BIP to Win for your school channel to see our top 10 schools. Then click on the video of your favorite school to cast your vote. Get your schoolmates and friends involved too. The more votes, the better your favorite school's chance of winning $1 million. Download the BIP app today. BIP. Simply more messaging.
We're working on a brighter day, you don't have to fret. You know your family secure, you don't need no stress. It's like you run a 5K, set the pace, win the race, celebrate, and your sin never bust no sweat. We see we brother and we sister, this is how we heal them. Easy now, you want Guardian Life, it's a nation we're building. Many hearts, but we all want the same thing. Live secure and live easy.
You are the buzz, buzz, buzz. You are the buzz, buzz. You are the zing, 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 zing. You are the. You are the click, click, click. You are the click, click. You are the pop, pop, pop. You are the I in Jamaica. So keep fizzing for the love of it. Pepsi.
Colgate Triple Action. 3 benefits for a deep clean. As a mother, you always want to give the best to your family and to make them happy. With Colgate Triple Action, you give them 3 reasons to smile. Cavity protection, whiter teeth, and fresh breath. A unique formula with a minty flavor they will love. Colgate Triple Action. Find it at your favorite store.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. We are in the main watch. The topic is it time to abolish Easter due to its pagan origin? And our guests in this segment, Minister Errol Bailey, pastor, Uaton New Testament Church of God, and Michael Diamond, he's Jewish, and the president of the Consumers Intervention of Jamaica. He's an attorney, a nationalist, and committed advocate for social justice. Now, just before the break, Mr. Dami, you're making a point. We had to go to the break, but please continue that point if you wish. And then feel free again to comment on anything that the minister had said before we look at whether or not we should really be abolishing Easter. Mr. Diamond?
Yes. To continue the point is that the question itself is a bit broad, in the sense that Easter, for many individuals, is observed very differently. And in fact, all the other ritualistic practices leading up to Easter Sunday or even Easter Monday is something that a lot of individuals really look forward to, notwithstanding that it really has no spiritual basis to it, to the religion. Yet many individuals would argue that, no, perhaps you need to keep it. Do we have the power or the authority to abolish Easter as something that is being celebrated by individuals? What I would say from my position is that we ought to not make it a public holiday, because it almost would seem like it's an unholy intrusion upon others who do not believe in Easter, who do not celebrate Easter. And it would almost appear as if the government is endorsing one religion over another by making it a public holiday in observance of such. So it's okay for individuals to observe, individually, sure, but to make it a national holiday, that is where the challenge comes in, because it almost now appears to be something that is more beneficial for its commercial value rather than for its spiritual value that individuals take it as. So the idea of having holidays or religious holidays that is imposed upon individuals, that is where my concern comes in.
Not to digress, but would you also advocate for the abolition of Christmas Day?
It is ironically, just to refresh, and I simply Googled pagan holidays, and yes, I was surprised at some of the items listed, but right at the top of the list was Christmas. So there's that issue again, that a majority of some of the holidays that are celebrated in Christendom had their origins in pagan practices. So yes, by all means, I would say that anything that deals with pagan practices should not be recognized as public holidays.
The holidays such as Easter and Christmas, etc. Well, let's focus on Easter because it's the topic. The holiday is in relation to Easter. Easter Monday, Good Friday before that have been adopted I'm so sorry, sir. What did you say?
Ash Wednesday.
Yes, Ash Wednesday, right.
Right.
These are days which are adopted and used by Christians world over. Is your objection in relation to the fact that it seems to be promoting or heralding Christianity over other religions, or is your objection really only rooted in the pagan origins of Easter?
I would say absolutely that it definitely seems like it's hurling over other religions due to the fact that it's accepted as a public holiday. For instance, we do not impose Passover as a public holiday because of that similar practice. Is that it would be somewhat
meaning we Jews, you as a Jewish person, Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Oh, I'm lost. In other words, as a Jewish person, you're saying that Jews do not impose the Passover on other persons of other faiths through government action. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, and that's what I'm expressing. That if you would like to celebrate, for instance, there are many holidays, there are many observances that prescribe that an individual would do a fasting or there's no work for that day. Now, that is something that you work out with your employer, that once they know what your religious orientation is, then they have to incorporate that. But to have the government say that this particular day, we're going to have Yom Kippur as a national holiday, as an individual that has a separate belief, that can feel somewhat intrusive upon you, because now your life is interrupted because the government is recognizing one particular religion over another.
Can I raise this one with you quickly, because we need to go back to Minister Bailey as well, though time is going. But March 28th, 2021, coming up, I'm looking here. I did an internet search quickly, and it says March 28th coming. It's a Sunday, the first day of Pesa, Passover. And it's listed as a public holiday in Israel. Should Israel, March 28th, have that day as a public holiday in light of what you just said? Because you have other religions or other religious groups in Israel, and Israel is having this one as a public holiday. In light of what you just said about Easter, should they abolish March 28th as the first day of Pesa in Israel?
And that is a very unique point to make. And I would, of course, absolutely not, due to the fact that Pesa is being celebrated as an actual event that occurs with the people. So it is not something that had another origin somewhere else. So it is something directly tied to the history of the people, as opposed to a paganism or pagan origin that has no direct ties to the people itself. So, for instance, if this was something that had some African origin or something that had to do with the history of Jamaica, then by all means, it is possible that it would be accepted as such. But not outside of Israel is it something that can be imposed upon any other people.
I see. So you believe that unless the religion is tied to the indigenous culture of the people, it ought not to be celebrated or practiced? Is that what you're saying?
I would say it should not be. No, absolutely not. But it should not be
or not made a public holiday.
Exactly.
I see. Very interesting point. Because many Christians will argue that by now, after all this time, based on their own faith, they would have no difficulty with it being a public holiday. But that's probably another conversation. Minister Bailey, we have heard quite a bit from Mr. Diamond. I'm going to ask you squarely, should Easter be abolished as a public holiday? And if so, why?
Well, I don't know if we have the authority to abolish an act of law. If you're
I was asking your thoughts. Would you support then? Would you support the abolition?
So I would support. I would support that we are not captured by a day. So it is pagan in origin. I am very careful though, because what we celebrate is not Easter as it relates to the paganism of it. I heard my co-host, our co-presenter said something earlier.
Yes.
And you asked him if he, based on their practices, you asked him if he would want to remove that practice, and he said no. Now, I know Christianity found its origin in Judaism.
Yeah.
Because that's where we derive from. We believe in the God of Israel. And we do celebrate in one way or another most of the things that the Jewish leaders or the Jewish order are recognized as good tradition. We may not practice all the feasts and all the festivals, but that which is associated with Christ through Scripture, we hold dear to our faith.
Okay.
If we should abolish Easter, if we abolish the name Easter, because is that what we're seeking to do? We want to remove the name Easter, but leave the tradition? Or are we saying we want to remove both the name and the tradition?
So in relation to the topic of the discussion today, is it time to abolish Easter due to pagan origins? Let's leave out public holiday for the moment. You're saying no, do not abolish Easter. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that I wouldn't have a problem if we have the authority to abolish the term Easter based on its pagan origin.
Okay. I want to get any final thoughts from you because I realize that we are almost out of time already, never enough time on the morning watch. But Minister Bailey, do you think that if persons celebrate Easter in light of the pagan origins and not maybe just celebrate only the Passover, for argument's sake, do you think it might affect their salvation, or you think it's not that relevant?
It would affect their salvation because then the focus is on bun and cheese and the Easter bunny, and chocolate and eggs, and so you would negate all what is relevant in the tradition, in the practice. You would eliminate all that we hold dear. So definitely.
I see. I take that as your final thought because we're almost out of time already, Mr. Diamond. A couple of seconds. Any
If
final
if
thought?
if I may just say,
very
I
quickly,
think
2
what
seconds.
I think what we need to do as educators is to teach the truth about these traditions.
Okay.
Way that reflects.
Okay, understood. Mr. Diamond, any final thoughts, a second or two?
Yes, I do absolutely agree that teach the truth about the traditions and then get the individuals to choose. But as far as celebrating pagan practices and attempt to merge it with Christianity, I disagree with that. And totally we should abolish any form of paganism within those practices.
Understood. I have to leave you there this morning. I want to thank both of you gentlemen for being with us on the Morning Watch. Thank you for your time, especially and for your thoughts. That was Minister Bailey and Mr. Diamond and the Morning Watch. We'll be back after this break.
You're tuned to Love 101. The family station is now 7:30.
Rain or shine, any weather. When we go bold, we go virgin. Quality paint, no faded colors. When we go bold, we go virgin. Let your imagination run free. Pick a color, any color for the space what you need. When we say it bold, that mean it not peel. Quality in every color, 7-year guarantee. When we go bold, we go virgin. Watch your color. When we go bold, we go virgin. Rain or shine, any color you need. When we go bold, we go virgin.
Bashko time. All the things that you need for your home, the price is so low, you would never need a loan at Bashko. At Bashko. Shopping. Appliances, household furniture and rugs, gifts and linens and glass and mugs at Bashko. Oh, you're shopping at Bashko. Whether the north or south, in the east and the west, Bashko, them all over, they must be the best at Bashko. At Bashko. Oh, you're shopping at Bashko. At Bashko. 30 years giving you more.
I am data hungry. I share pictures of my food on Instagram, but not the actual food itself. I listen to YouTube music all day, and when I'm not, I'm streaming videos all night. Flow has the only prepaid mobile plan with unlimited data for the apps I really want. Real apps like YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, Twitter, and WhatsApp. Real data that I really use.
Get it now. Dial *129*6 number sign to activate your Flow 7-day plan for only $675. Conditions apply.
49 years later and still going strong. Under the Law helps you to know your rights and how the laws of Jamaica can help you defend those rights. The program comes to you on Love 101 FM on Thursdays through the kind sponsorship of the Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy. Under the Law, Thursdays at 6:20 a.m., 2:55, 6:45, and 9:10 p.m. on Love 101 FM.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. Let's take a look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. We have here in the Daily Gleaner, Adjusted Andrew. There's a photograph here of Opposite Mark Golding calling on the Prime Minister in relation to the budget debate. We also have here electronic cigarettes to come under Tobacco Control Act. And let's turn to the daily. My apologies, listeners. We're having a little challenge here with the online version of the Daily Gleaner now, looking at it online. This is an interesting one here in relation to one of our popular artists and an immigration charges. Elephant Man to return to court April 28th on immigration charges. And it goes another story here. 10 homicides recorded in 24 hours. Murder tally moves to 312. Those and many other stories in both major daily newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read through some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question, which is, what does celebrating Easter mean for you? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook page, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Here is a reminder from Love 101, the family station, as we face the COVID-19 pandemic. Masks are effective only when used in combination with frequent hand cleaning with soap and water or alcohol-based solutions. Wear a mask that is lined with 2 or more layers. When taking it off, ensure you dispose of it properly. I'm Nigel Wilkinson from Love 101, reminding you to protect yourself while protecting others. Stay safe and keep it locked on Love 101, the family station.
You're invited to listen to Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. We'll give you tips on how to make your money count, how to save, and how to grow your worth. It's all inside Dollars and Cents, brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. That's Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
He knows my name.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of global crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876-220-6474. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church.
This is a reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
He knows my name.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. Now, Saturday, March 20th, this year, is being celebrated as the International Day of Happiness. It's an annual event organized by the United Nations to promote the idea that feeling happy is a global human right. And the 2021 theme is Keep Calm, Stay Wise, Be Kind. But who really is happy? How can we be happy? Especially at this time of COVID-19. And importantly, what does happiness really mean? We have as guests this morning to look at this very interesting and very necessary topic for discussion, Dr. Donovan Thomas, President, Chief Executive Officer of Choose Life International, and Ms. Faye Ellington, Media Personality and Communication Specialist. Good morning, Dr. Thomas, and good morning, Ms. Ellington.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Marshall and everybody. Ms. Faye, good morning. How are you?
Me happy. How you do?
I'm good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Great having you both. Great having you both indeed. Now, I find this topic very interesting, and I find it very interesting too that the United Nations has seen it fit to have an International Day of Happiness. But tell us about the genesis of the International Day of Happiness. Why the day? Dr. Thomas, that one is for you, please.
Okay. Well, Bhutan, a country that pioneered this campaign for recognition of a day to mark happiness, actually has what they call gross national happiness. Like some countries talk about gross national product, they believe that happiness was such a big thing that is what the focus needed to be. And it went before the United Nations, and after consideration for a while, it was accepted. But it really just reinforces the fact that as we do life, that there is a need for us to focus on being happy and not just existing. And that's what the passion of this drive is. to be able to help people to just move from where they are, just existing. So choosing to be happy in the midst of the difficulties and even the challenges as we are facing it around the world today.
So in that same vein, Dr. Thomas, define for us happiness. Define happiness.
Well, we also teach a course at the college level called The Art and Science of Happiness that we've been doing for the last 10 years. And there are two definitions that we share. One is a pleasurable or satisfying experience. Something happens. Mr. Right arrives and she's happy. Or somebody wins the lotto and he or she is happy. Then, so that's the experience. Then the second definition is a state of well-being and contentment. It is knowing that you know that in spite of what's going on, there is a threshold beneath which one would not go. One of these is more permanent. Yes, the state of well-being and contentment. So we're saying that in spite of what's going on in the world, there is a threshold beneath which we would not go in terms of just our happiness level.
I'm just wondering, though, asking myself the question, will happiness mean different things to different persons? Ms. Ellington, how would you, for example, define happiness? And do you think happiness means the same thing for everyone?
I won't be presumptuous to define happiness because it does mean different things to different people and different things for the same person on any given day. But we can look at the emotional happiness and the mental happiness. But what I think sometimes we might confuse with happiness are those persons who are able to put on a dressing face. As we say in Jamaica, you take kin teeth or keep a heart gun because you're not going to go out a road and make everybody know your crosses. The other thing is many people in the creative world, and I want us to listen to this carefully, and particularly people who are viewed as funny or comedians who make other people laugh and happy. People assume that they are happy. But many of those persons, that is a balm. That's what they use to cover their own challenges. And at the time, it is cathartic. It also releases whatever stress or challenges you may have when you are able to make somebody laugh or make somebody smile at something. So it is, for me, a very complex thing, but I'd like to add to what was said earlier on. So my thing is emotional and mental, but contentment is very important. And acceptance of where you are. Not that if things are hard, you're going to say, all right, I'm going to stay like this for the rest of my life. But living in the moment, very important, and being grateful. And I'll just say one other thing before I shut up. That we have to find a day when we say we have to have International Day of Happiness is very curious because decades gone by, we didn't have that day. People might say because we weren't forward thinking, but it could be that other people were caring about people. People cared more about others rather, and so people were not feeling so lonely or left alone. So we have to, it's a very complex thing as I see it.
You made a very interesting point because some time ago I saw a web link and I got the same web link sent to me just yesterday. In Japan, they actually have a minister of loneliness. And you mentioned the matter of being lonely a while ago, Ms. Ellington, in terms of what people may be going through from time to time. And for a government to have a minister of loneliness, I think is perhaps even more curious, to borrow a word from what you just said. And something I want to raise, many Christians are listening to this program, in fact, persons of various faiths. And the Holy Scriptures refers to the word joy. I actually did an internet search and I did not find any scripture reference where the word happiness is mentioned. If it is there, I stand corrected, but I didn't see it. However, I saw several scripture references to the word joy. Dr. Thomas, can you explain or assist us in terms of what do you think is the difference between joy and happiness, and why celebrate happiness in over and above joy in this context, sir?
Okay, just connecting again with the two definitions that I gave.
Yes.
So a state of well-being and contentment is the element of joy. That is the JOY, where in spite of what's going on, there is that level of satisfaction. We use the word shalom to be able to just reflect the completeness, wholeness, the peace, the tranquility, the rest, the harmony that encompasses the concept of joy. And so we think that happiness has two dimensions, and the second dimension, where there is the contentment, is really where we step into the realm of JOY.
Mr. Ellington, we're almost upon a break, but any comments? Because he just made a distinction there.
Yes, I'm agreeing with him, but I just want to go back very quickly to the Minister of Loneliness in Japan.
Yes.
I just want us to remember that being alone does not mean that we are lonely.
Yes, understood. We'll hold that thought for a moment because we're up on a break. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch. Stay with us.
The time by the Ministry of Health, Healthy People, Healthy Environment is
7:45 and a half, folks.
The management and staff of Bulwark Insurance Agent wish to extend the highest gratitude to all essential workers currently doing their best to keep us safe during this pandemic. Your hard work and sacrifice do not go unnoticed, and our thoughts and prayers remain with you at this time. Contact Bulwark Insurance Agent at 876-317-3469 or 876-618-6342, or email us at info@bulwarkja.com. Bulwark Insurance Agent. Insurance made easy.
Serve! Give me a pack of water crackers, Miss G. No, not the dear one. You think me have money for you, eh? Give me National Water Crackers. National Water Crackers taste good and it costs less.
Yes, Miss G. Give your customers National Water Crackers, Jamaica's own, Jamaica's best water crackers.
Now more than ever, Protex reminds you to wash your hands. A 40-second hand wash with soap could help prevent COVID-19. Look for Protex at your nearest store.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. We're speaking this morning to Dr. Donovan Thomas, President, CEO of Choose Life International, and Ms. Faye Ellington, Media Personality and Communication Specialist. And we are looking at the topic in relation to issues and perspectives on happiness in the midst of a pandemic. Now, what we have here, both ladies and gentlemen, our guests this morning, we have a situation here where many people are dealing with or grappling with the effects of COVID-19. And many people do not have a reason to be happy at this time. What do you say to a listener right now who is going through some sort of personal crises, and yet you may be asking them to be happy? Dr. Thomas?
Well, I would like to remind all of us that happiness is a choice, and to a very large extent, a personal choice. So the glass is not only half empty, it is also half full. And we've got to be able to see the positive, to see things that we are grateful for in the midst of what is going on. So even though things are rough, there are still some good things going on. We can still work. We can work from home. And even in the crisis, some of us are finding new ways to be able to do stuff, to be able to communicate, to be able to reach out to people. So let us not just see the difficulties and the challenges, but see the opportunities for growth and development in the midst of what's going on. We can use the occasion, the context to show acts of kindness, to reach out to people, to be able to just share with those who are less fortunate than ourselves.
Understood.
So,
I'm so sorry. I thought you were through, Ms. Dr. Thomas. Ms. Ellington?
No, you may go ahead.
Yes, and I'm agreeing with Dr. Thomas there. Remember, I had said, why this day of happiness has come about is because as a people, globally. We seem to have stopped caring our lifestyle. We're just on the rush. Whereas if we care and we are kind and we reach out to people, I have made it a point of duty since this pandemic has started to just reach out to people. Many of them are older people, but not only older people. And being grateful. There's somebody with whom I speak regularly, and when I will call and say, "How are you?" Same as yesterday. I say, "Okay, good. Nothing has deteriorated." But how about saying, "I am thankful. I'm grateful for waking up this morning, whatever." But of course, there are some people who say to you, "What am I grateful for?" Becoming a know my next meal I come from. So it is. We have to help people. Dr. Thomas said it's a choice, but sometimes people find themselves in a predicament and find a difficulty with going to that choice. So we have to help people to rewire how they think, but it's not always as easy as some of us think it is. Now, let us just touch back on joy a little bit, because that is so true, what Dr. Thomas said. But very often, people see that joy of which we speak based in some kind of a belief system or faith, and that too is very helpful. But there are people who are agnostic or atheists who are just have that joy as well. But whatever their belief system is, which may not be a religious base, they have utilized it in that way for themselves to be able to go through life being content, and they are grateful. They may be grateful for their jobs and grateful for the whole of money which some of them have. But remember too, material things do not always make you happy. They might supply you with certain. Pardon me?
I'm saying I'm so glad you said that, Miss Ellington. Please continue. Your thought. I thought you were.
Yes,
Please
because
continue.
material things will assist you with convenience and satisfaction and all of that. But enough people in some situations where they have every striking thing, but then get up on their face, hang down like donkey and a cool shady, and them the people around them not treat them well, and them not treat the people well. And it's a very complex something, this thing called happiness,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are some misconceptions about happiness, and that's one of them you mentioned there, Miss Faith.
Yes.
The whole idea of I have money, so I have happiness. There are just so many unhappy people who have money. And there's a little video that we show in our classes, and there's a quote that says, "If all we have is money, we are so very, 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 very poor. If all we have is money, we need relationships. We need to connect with people." Yes.
May I just say and support that? I'm from rural Jamaica, Smithville in Clarendon. And I never know, I was rich. Come from a poor house, and outside toilet, outside kitchen, which make up fireside and all of that. But it's when I came to Kingston, I started to understand the material connection to why people think them happy. But I was rich in values. I was rich in community. I was rich in how we interacted with each other. I was rich in understanding that as part of a community, you help somebody else. You never wait for them to ask you for help. Coming right back to the point I made. Some people are so unhappy because some of us do not care sufficiently for people around us. Could be family members. Could be family in your own home. Yeah. It could be somebody in your community.
Yeah. We have, in Choose Life International, we have decided not just to mark a week, a day, but to mark a week. And for each day of this week, we have been given different, each day has a different focus. And today is actually Thoughtful Thursday. And that just connects so much with what you're doing there, Faith. What you're saying, Faith. What can we do to show the care to people? So many people are locked away. So many people going through difficulties. Can you bite your lips and withhold that negative comment and find something positive to be able to say? Before you spit out those words, taste them. So share do something positive today to be able to just help some people. Some acts of kindness. Random or deliberate acts of kindness, do something to be able to empower people as we go through today.
Yeah, absolutely. And a few years ago, they were, because I do these things, that is how I make up. But a few years ago, maybe 10 or so, I made a point of duty at the end of the year that there were 3 much older women that are going to make appointments to see in the beginning of that new year. And you'll be surprised to know what it did for them and what it did for me. Because when you extend yourself to people, simply, we never carry no gift. or rather, nothing. Sometimes it was just a little bottle of what they drank or a little. But the point is that you feel good when you make somebody else feel good, and they appreciate it, especially with that social interaction. And by the way, let me just link that to the pandemic. This social distancing is not a correct phrase, and I've been saying from the beginning, it is physical distancing that we are supposed to be operating on, because the social is when you pick up the phone or you go to the gate and say, look here, I was speaking to a young man last night who tell me he's tested positive, right? And he has fine, but I say, if you need any help, tell me, I'll carry the things and I'll leave them at the gate and you come and you pick them up. Hello? You don't take nothing off for nobody to stretch out your hand. It might be not something that you buy, but you might have a fruit tree that you can pick 2 mango off or 2 star fruit off and carry this money.
Yes. Right, it's so vital, because many people, they don't even really connect with even their neighbors.
Yeah. Sophie and Faye, since the pandemic started, Choose Life International has been doing 2 free weekly webinars. And we are gone 96. And what we're really saying to people, there's a way to be able to connect. So right there from home or within confines of the restricted environment, we have been able to reach out to people in 6 or so different nations. And we have somebody like Papa San, who is coming on of no charge to us, who is going to come on and share with us. Tuesday night, we had a principal of a school in Maypen talking about happiness, talking about laughter, the best medicine, along with somebody out of Florida. So we are actually helping people to be able to realize that there are some practical things that we can do. The Sunday night, we had somebody out of New York, a Jamaican now councilwoman in Mount Vernon, and she was talking about happiness through service. So there are just many little things that we can do to be able to do that. Papa San's focus is going to be actually make the will to choose right, as we talk about, and that's going to be on Sunday evening. So there are just many things that we can do. And one of the critical things to happiness is to show gratitude, but also there's the element of learning to forgive. There's so much brokenness, and so many people are battered and angry and upset. And we see what's happening in this nation. And we have become an angry nation, and we want to get back at people who have hurt us. But forgiveness is that thing that pivots healing in our lives and actually pivots happiness.
Let me just underscore that 100%, Dr. Thomas, because when you don't forgive, it's like you are a vessel, and there's acid inside of you, and it's eating out every organ in your body. And the person that you have not forgiven, they're going along happy, or getting on with their life. So forgiveness for me, I was criticized by a friend years ago to say something happened to me, and I processed it, and then I got on. Oh, you forgive so easily. I say, how I forgive so easily? Because I want to get on with my life, because I have to remember to smoke my face when I see this muddy. I think about this muddy. First of all, that I got age you. Okay? Yeah. It's a big thing, It's a big thing. It puts you at a place where you're unpleasant. People now go on their own, and then now say, why should you look like that? Why should you be like that? Because when you harbor this unforgiveness, then you become not a nice person to be around. Not nice to be around at all.
That's correct.
Release yourself, release to somebody, but the bigger release is of you, so you can get on and not repeat what that person did to you. Make sure so you don't do it to nobody else, and just get on with life. And so that for me is a kind of happiness for many people when they release that.
Okay, great. And somebody said unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Exactly. But I'm curious. Doc, I understand why them invite you on this program, because you think, but why did they consider anybody think of inviting me to discuss happiness? Why? I'm curious.
Because what we see in the media is that you're a happy person by your disposition, and we enjoy what comes from you, and we believe that there's depth to you. You're not just faking it. We believe that there's something deep down within it. If I may answer the question from my perspective.
And everything that you have said, a lot of what you have said so far, Miss Ellington, does indeed demonstrate why you were invited to this program. We are really happy for your thoughts. In fact, we are almost out of time already, but in a second or two from both of you, any final thoughts that you would like to leave with us, starting with you, Dr. Thomas, and then you, Ms. Ellington?
Well, I can't but reflect that one of the things that aids in happiness is finding spiritual purpose. And just knowing that there is a spiritual dimension to our lives. 9 years ago, this time I was lying in the hospital in New York, having gone through heart surgery. But the day before surgery, somebody sent me the words of the song that says, Jehovah Rapha is my healer. And with that, playing that song over and over, there was a different mindset. And I went into the surgery with assurance that the same God who has saved my soul from I was a child will rescue me from this illness. And love had announced that I was doing the surgery, and I want to say thank you, love, for really standing with me in prayer when I needed it many years ago. So just know that there's a spiritual dimension to growth, to happiness, and we need to really just press in these rough times.
Indeed, Ms. Ellington.
And I'm glad you said spiritual and not necessarily religious, because they are two different things. But I'd add to that, please, just reach out to somebody today. Show that you care. You might be surprised or even shocked to know the difference that you make in making somebody happy, content, feel as if they matter. Because all of these things, when you don't feel as if you matter, or you feel as if you've been disrespected, or you are devalued, can't make you happy. So let's reach out to somebody today. You choose who you're going to reach out to, and just be happy when you're doing it, and make them happy too.
Totally out of time, but I want to thank you, Dr. Thomas and Miss Ellington, for being with us this morning. Thank you for your thoughts and for your time in particular. Thank you, our listeners, for being with us. And to get copies of the program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. Of course, download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, a family station. This has been the Morning Watch. Join Reverend Dr. Dallin to start next week, Tuesday, as we look at other topical and controversial issues. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokely Marshall, handing it back to Love in the Morning with Shabani Blair. Keep safe.
Get the fiber and protein you need from the beans you love. Grace gives you better choices for a better life.
The time brought to you by Grace Kennedy is
a minute after 8, folks, and it's time for the program Forward in Faith, brought to you by the